welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live, and the transfer window is fully in full effect right now. We've seen some decent signings already. Man United are making moves. There's more transfer rumours coming out of Man United. It seems like they're not going to stop there. Arsenal are a step closer to bringing in Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad. Conor Gallagher looks like he's on his way out. Dominic Solanke looks like he's of interest of Tottenham Hotspur, as well as Eze. There's plenty of happening tonight. We're going to be discussing that with Garth, and we're going to be joined by our transfer guru, Steve K. How you doing? How you doing, Garth?
No, good, mate. Good, yeah. Can't grumble. Yourself?
I'm doing good. We'll go through a couple of transfers that are sort of happening at the moment, and a couple of the transfer rumours that are out. Before we do get started, if you are new to the show, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you are a regular to the show, hit that share button and hit that like button as well. We're joined by the man himself. We've just said his name, and his ears must have been ringing. Joined by Steve K. I gave you the biggest hype up, Steve. Steve K, the transfer guru, in the room. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. What a welcome. What a welcome. I didn't deserve that. Sorry if I'm late.
It's all right. It's all right. It's Steve coming on the stream. Yes, he is, Charles. Calm down. Get your cup of tea and get your feet up. Steve's in the room. Get your questions in the comment section and make sure you press that like and make sure you press that share button as well. All right. Let's get going. A few transfer rumours that are popping around at the moment. Matt Hummel's a free agent leaving Borussia Dortmund at the end of last season. Brighton are looking at the centre-back as an option, as well as West Ham United. Brighton have made the signings of Yakuba Minta, Ibrahim Osman this summer, as well as midfielders Matt Weaver and Mikel Yakot. I can't even pronounce that one. They are yet to strengthen the defence, along with Argentine midfielder Rodriguez joined West Ham on a free. Julian Lopetegui has signed Sheffield United goalkeeper Wes Foderingham and Palmeiras teenager Luis Gilmeri. Wolves captain Max Kilman, which was a popular signing for many, and as well as Kosenko Somerville from Leeds United, as well as signing some of the, I'd say, a cult hero, not quite a cult hero, but a cult fan's favourite in Nicholas Füllkrug. Do you see either of those two teams making a charge for European spots? Garth, I'll start with you.
It's tough, isn't it? Especially with all of the other teams strengthening as well. Yeah, listen, Conference League, maybe Europa League, yes, but I can't see either of them doing much more than that. Somerville's the signing that interests me. Very good in the Championship, as I understand it. I haven't seen much of him, I can't lie. But
and towards the end of his time in the Premier League at Leeds, he seems to be one of the very few sort of doing something.
Yeah, so at 22, he was one of the players I'm surprised Leeds held on to in the Championship, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's the one that excites me. But yeah, I think you're going to see a return to the norm in the top 4, top 6 this season. So I think it's going to be a big struggle for anyone to break that this year, personally. But we will see, obviously.
Steve, off the back of any of those signings, Nicholas Füllkrug, a popular player every time he came on for Germany in the Euros. Seems like that old school type of strike. I'm sure a kind of player that West Ham fans will like. Do you see either of those two teams with those sorts of signings breaking into those European spots?
Yeah, I missed the first one you was talking about, so I don't know who the two are. But I certainly know you was about with West Ham. Yeah, look, similar. Look, it's going to be tough next season. West Ham are probably, they've bought well. Like you said, they're Füllkrug. For me, I think it's a great signing.
Yeah,
I think he's a really great signing. I think to get him away from Dortmund, who are, a massive club, who he was playing well there. I think it was Dortmund. It was that, wasn't it? And scoring goals. Look really good in the Euros. Yeah, I think that's a clue for him. And look, it's all about scoring goals. You need, you need a goal scorer to get places in Premier League, and he's certainly going to get them to do that. I've heard good things about Somerville. A lot of clubs were after him. Not just West Ham. I know Liverpool were knocking around for him as well. Quite especially in January and parts of this window as well. So West Ham, it's going to be tough, but they there's always one, isn't there? During next season, who's a surprise package. If you're picking out like a surprise package to get into Europe, I'd certainly be saying West Ham could do it, but it'd be tough. But they've bought well, and they've not finished, and they've got players.
The other player was Guado Rodriguez, the World Cup winning Argentinian from Real Betis, and as I said before, they're both looking at Brighton and West Ham are both looking at Matty Hummels. That have experiences, especially for a team like West Ham, bringing some of them names a bit of experience there as well.
Well, on Hummels, just quickly. I mean, I don't know West Ham fans that are watching, but Zuma is in talks right now with a Saudi club. So the links towards Matt Hummels, they go together. So cool, what a signing that would be. And he'd be following his mate there, wouldn't he? Fulkrug.
Yeah, Fulkrug. Yeah.
Did you hear, by the way, lads? I didn't know that Fulkrug is West Ham's 56th centre forward signing in the last 10 years.
Ooh,
wow.
They've had 56 strikers in 10 years. Some guys on TikTok went through them all. There's some names you forget in there as well. Like,
Go on, give us a couple. Give us a couple.
I'll put myself on the spot there. I can't.
I was going to say, after a stat like that, you've got to back it up, didn't you?
I can't. The only one in my head that I can remember is when they brought back Andy Carroll, and I was laughing at that. It's just stuck in the brain now. But they're brought back in Andy Carroll. But yeah, honestly, if anyone's interested, go and have a look at that list there. You'll be interested to see. So, they've got random names on there. Was it? Did Danny Ings go there? Like players like that.
Yeah, Danny Ings went there.
Went through West Ham for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, the Golden Sullivan apparently, like a striker in their team, or whichever one.
They like a name. They like a name, so it's not surprising they went for Fulkrug. I like the look of him. Strong, like he gets a shot off, which is important. That's really important. He can sit on the last defender, muscle him off, a little bit like Drogba, that kind of move, turn and shoot, and he's not afraid to shoot as well. First time off of awkward angles. Yeah, he's a wily old kind of striker. Another player.
Sorry, kid. Steve, do you know what the contract he's got is years? Because he is 32. That's the only thing I will say with Fulkrug.
Not off the top of my head, Garth. Not off the top of my head. But I can imagine it being something like a 3-year contract.
3 to 4 years. That's what I'm thinking.
It generally is on those. It certainly wouldn't be something like a 5. I
was going to say, yes. Let's take Danny Casemiro giving him a 6-year deal or something stupid like that. Fair play. Good sided.
I was just trying to find it quickly. No, I couldn't see it. But another player that is striking up a bit of hot interest from other clubs, Chelsea being one and Brighton being the other, is Celtic's Matt O'Reilly. The Denmark international scored 19 goals and got 18 assists in 49 appearances for Brendan Rodgers' team last season. Either of you know much about Matt O'Reilly?
Go on, Garth. Sorry, mate.
Oh, no, I was saying not really, mate. Not really at all. So if you've got something, Steve, go for it. I know that he's done well in Scotland this year and he wasn't that great for the last couple. That's what I know about Matt O'Reilly, but not much about his playing style or anything, to be fair. Yeah, I mean,
just going by a couple of people I've spoken to, I mean, they rate him really highly. He's like Garth said, he's done very well in Scotland. I know Brighton have been after him for a long while. I can remember last year that I was told that they was knocking on the door and they wanted to sign him then. So it looks like they're quite serious about getting this guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up there. But by all accounts, people who know their Scottish football a guy who knows his Scottish football very, very well rates him really highly and thinks he do really well. So there's rumours about Joel Pedro moving on as well. So is there something in that? So we'd have to wait and see.
All right, that is one to watch as well. Chelsea have had a 43 million pound bid for Sammy Omadoin, who is set to undergo a medical before signing a 7-year deal. Chelsea are expected to finally announce the signing of Aaron Musto.
Literally every player. Chelsea are interested in this player as well. My goodness.
And they're in talks to sign Gabriel Mek, Gremio youngster, being dubbed the next Ronaldinho.
Club's like else, isn't it?
Chelsea again. Yeah, I know.
Honestly, sorry, I read an article in the Daily Mail only about an hour ago. It's just like Chelsea have, even with this, I'm not ruling out £111 million bid for Osimhen as well. And I'm just like, lads, like this club. Honestly, Todd Bowley is going to send that club into bankruptcy, into like administration or something like that with the man. He's like just through points deductions and stuff because it can't be sustainable what they're doing. They've got 7 first-team goalkeepers. 7.
Yeah,
it's mad.
And on Gabriel Mek, I know probably nobody knows anything about him.
No.
Just more on this dubbed the next Ronaldinho. There's been a lot of accusations that football's gone a bit sterile. It's lost that character. It's lost that creativity and that sort of freedom. That sort of player, the maverick player. Do you feel like that will go around in circles? Do you think that football's past that and it needs that discipline in the game for footballers really at the top level to that don't really make it like these sorts of players? Do you feel like it could potentially come back around? Let's start with you, Garth.
I think you've got to be an exceptional talent to get away with it in the modern game. I don't think we're ever going to go back to a time where every club had a maverick player. I think you have to, and the problem is Pep. Like, if managers want to follow Pep, they're never going to sign these players because Pep does not have these players. He does not have mavericks. Look what he done with Zlatan. Like, he moved into Barcelona and shut Ronaldinho out the door, didn't he? Like, literally, like, he does not allow it. So, no, I think you've got to be like, there will always be mavericks knocking about here and there, just about, but you're not going to see him. You know what I mean? I saw that the flick that he did remind me of JJ Okocha. Teams, like, Bolton ain't in the Premier League anymore, but let's take like a Brighton, they're not going to have a JJ Okocha in their team. You know what I mean? Like, who was the Blackburn fella to Damien Dunn? You're not like a Lee Trundle in the champion. Like, you're just not going to have these players in the high level anymore, unless they are exceptional. No. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to go back round, mate.
Steve, do you think we're going to see players like Ronaldinho, Denilson, Recoba, Riquelme? Do you think we're going to see these sorts of maverick, Lone Ranger type sort of players in your team ever again at the top level? Because I feel like you get him in at some of these other smaller leagues, but at the top level, the Champions League.
Yeah, they're going to be like fair and far between, mate. And they, you know, if we do, like Garth said, I think if you'll still find them. You know, if you're looking in like the lower reaches of the Brazilian leagues, or even in the Brazilian league, I think if you watch that, I think you'll find loads of these type of players doing their stuff. But as soon as a top the league, a top Premier League club, a top whatever club, you know, gets hold of them and brings them into Europe, they take it all out of them now. Yeah, you know, some of them won't. You know, some of them will keep it. Some of them will be so maverick where they'll be like, I'm not playing your way, you know, because some players are literally like that. You know, we got, you know, I'm trying to think of it. It's hard. Like, you know, I can't think of anybody. But Pep, you know, he's like Garth said. You know, if everybody copies the way Pep does, then you know that's the way it's going to go. So everything's going to be system based. But I think what I'm finding as well, and what I've spoken to some guy from the Athletic recently, and I totally agree with him because I've had experience with it myself. Coaches at lower levels, you know, they're even teaching young kids now, you know, how to play in set positions and how to play system based of the ages of 8s and 10s and 12s, and that's disgusting. That annoys me. Do you know what I mean? That was never like that when I was a kid. You went out there, you played different positions, you were told to do your stuff. But no, mate, it's a shame and it's annoying. But yeah, you'll see it. You'll get them in the lower leagues. You get them in the Brazilian leagues. But yeah, as soon as as soon as the big European clubs grab them, 9 times out of 10 they'll just take it out of them, and it's sad, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose, Steve, though, the way the game's going, this is the thing: if you're a coach at a kids' team and you want them to become professionals, you've got to train them in the manner of the professional style, haven't you? I agree with you. I find it appalling that it's like that, but if it's a waste of time letting them play the way they want to play, like it's, I think it's a 50-50 there. And also, Kit, can I just say thanks for, I pulled out Lee Trundle and David Dunn, and you pulled out Koba and Denilson. I was trying to be like damping it down a little bit, like, like every team had one of them players pulling out superstars on me.
I mean, I'm congratulating you on pulling out some home nation players, mate. David Dunn and Lee Trundle. You know the affection I have for Lee Trundle. So you did that on purpose.
Trundle was a maverick. Trundle was a maverick. And any kids out there never saw Trundle. Did he ever make the Premier League? He didn't, did he?
No, I think the top he done was with Swansea when they got them up to the Championship.
Yeah, but he had skills. That geezer had skills, mate. For a
class act. Now, look, I think I'm with Steve, because I think at that age, like, you're going to take away the enjoyment. The enjoyment as a youngster is having that freedom, doing a trick, and not worrying about the system, or not worrying about that will come at a later stage. I think if you're going to start training kids to take away the fun and creativity out of the game, you're going to have people that are just not doing it for the love of it. Like, it's a tough one. I do get what you're saying, Garth, and I do get what, to an extent, why they're doing it. But
you don't like it. Yeah.
I do worry about it long term. I don't think they're thinking. I think they're thinking about, we've got to get these players to a club. Whereas I think long term, you're going to have players that are just going to just have no love for the game, and we're going to have more and more players that don't like football and just do it because they're good at it. And what are you going to be watching in the end? He's going to. And I also think, on top of what you were saying, the question I asked, I think potentially it will get to the point where all teams are so fixated on getting it right and getting it perfect that it's going to take those maverick players in games to be the game winners, that have got that bit of skill. So that will break it apart. And then I think we go round in circles again, where everyone just tries to sign that player. It's too all over the place, and we get that, like maybe the athletic team that's going to do it again, or back to this regimented style of football. I do think it's got to crack at some point.
Do you know who the perfect example is of that? There's probably more, but the perfect example of that for me was Jack Grealish. You look at Jack Grealish at Aston Villa. He was just go and get the ball, go and do what you want, go and enjoy yourself, go and play as if you're playing in the playground. Yeah, and everybody sort of loved Jack for that. He comes to Manchester City and tells the players a totally different way. Played in a system-based team who you've got to, do things like clockwork. He's not allowed to be free anymore, and that's what you get in there, and that's the type of player, that which is sad for us, really, because we would all love to see that Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, but he's not allowed to do that no more.
No, so it's too much on the line. You can't have like that. This is, and I agree with both of you. I don't like that they're doing it, but the point you're making there, Steve, is exactly my point. Is if you're like, listen, if it's a local club who's having a bit of fun, that's different. But if you're taking your young'uns to become footballers, you've got to train them from an early age now to be a system player. Otherwise, you're going to be Jack Grealish. Yeah, you'll be all fun and games in the lower leagues, but the moment you get your big move, you're on the bench and you're not playing because you can't do it.
Yeah.
But I also agree with what you're saying, Kieran. You changed my mind there, mate. You changed my mind with Maverick.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to get to a crux point where it's going to have Mavericks to change the game. When
I think it's more about the grassroots, isn't it? The grassroots. When you look, we always say the game starts at the grassroots, and what they're doing at grassroots these days is putting young kids of 8 years. I see it every day. I see it.
It ain't right, man. It ain't right. But I can see why they're doing it.
Yeah.
What we also have every 10 years also is that player that comes from non-league. The player that comes from non-league and does it. Like you'll get a few of them because one will come from France, one will come from England, and they all end up in the Premier League. But you always get that one that didn't quite make it because they didn't have that regimented style. They didn't play that. And they've just gone through long leagues. They've smashed it in the leagues. They've proven everyone wrong. Next thing you know, they're being bought for 15 million by a championship side. and he smashes it and comes in and gets an England squad. It happens all the time. We've got it right at the moment with Eze. Previously, we had it with Jamie Vardy. Like it happens.
Chris Smalling.
Kante. Like they always miss because they're so fixated on this is how it's got to be, but they just blink it out. The other talent that are different that sets them aside from everyone else, which you need that in your team, and that's the reason why they end up being these top players. So yeah, I think it will get to a point, and I hope it does get to that point because they're my favourite sorts of players at the end of the day.
Go back to the days we used to play football with like a tennis ball and a tin can and a ping pong ball. I used to do it all.
Mate, I tell you what, it's those sorts of things.
I don't know.
Roll up.
A tin can.
Oh, yes, seriously, tin can. If we didn't have a football, then we see a tin can.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, Steve. That's the problem. When the ball was,
I was playing with a brick. I had a brick.
When you was playing football, mate, you're going after the ball and you're trying to anticipate that it's going to ricochet in the other direction because the tin can edges, and it worked. It was just going straight. Don't worry, I know it's going to go. Mate, it's like I said, the best era of football was late 90s, 2000s. Those were the best eras, and I'm sticking by it. The R9s. The Thierry Henrys, the Zidane, the Ronaldinhos, they've got to come back. I don't like they're too much of a big name. Look at the names like Neymar in Brazil. He's seen as a god. He's the next thing to Pelé, which is massive over there. And there's going to be people that are idolising him and want to play like him. So I think we're going to get that, and I hope we do. So dads, mums out there, make sure you're showing your kids Ronaldo. Thierry Henry, like make sure you're showing them. All right,
David Batty, Julian Dix,
Damien Duff, Julian Dix, Neil Razor Rudder,
the Razor Rudder,
Robbie Stockdale. We could go on. This is some hardcore savage names. All right. Man United have booked medicals for Nasir Mazraoui and Chedo Obi Martins, and talks with Matthias de Ligt are ongoing. We go Mazraoui first, Garth. Bayern Munich and Morocco international. Good signing for Man United. Happy with this one?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that picture makes him look like he needs a sandwich. He looks underfed there. Look like Gordon. I don't want that though. Listen, is this medical? Did you say? Is this done then? They agreed and everything with him now because I didn't know that at all. But decent signing if we got him. Like Steve, like that. Don't sound good. At least I'll let you go.
I think.
Is it done? Or is it nearly done?
It's nearly. Yeah, I think it's nearly done. Unless something's happened, and I've missed it. As far as I know, both De Ligt and Mazraoui are, they're all in Man United. Fees are agreed. Personal terms, everything's agreed. It's just the clubs, sorting out what they've got to sort out.
Dotting the T's and all that.
Players, players side. I've always thought De Ligt would get done. Do you know what I mean? I was quite surprised
from the start.
I from what I was hearing, and then it went off, and then I was like, "Oh, it's gone off," and it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But fair enough. But it wasn't too long, and it all come back on again. But yeah, I think they're two really good signings for Manchester United. Whether they start or whether they, or even better, that they're part of the squad. Two very good signings. Yeah, obviously know more about De Ligt than I do the other guy. But
mate. Yeah, sorry.
Great, that's about it, mate. Yeah.
No, Mazraoui's a good player. I like Mazraoui. He's not as good defending as Wan-Bissaka, obviously, but better going forward. For the price we're getting him, from what I understand, it's in the teens. You know what I mean? It's a reasonable signing, if you ask me. Like full-blown international, obviously. I mean, it worries me that Bayern are willing to let him go. It would only be worried. Obviously, Kimmich has been playing at right back a lot, hasn't he? So,
but he wants to move into midfield, doesn't he?
Bayern saying you've got to have both.
You're going to have underfed, famished right back with you as well.
You can have De Ligt, but you've got to have Mazraoui as well.
He's a good player, man. He's generally a good player. That's not a player that's going to make a team any better. It's realistically, it's just a good signing. So I'm happy with it because we need squad depth, especially if we're getting rid of Wan-Bissaka. So him and Dalot at right back. So I presume Dalot will still be our starting right back come the start of the season. He was one of our outstanding performers last year. Can't grumble with it. I can't grumble with it. Like Ineosa bringing in signings that it looks like will help the squad in general, if you know what I mean. Not so much outlandish superstars so that we've been seeing with Man United for the last 10 years. So yeah, decent signing in general for me, I think. But yeah, I haven't seen him in a couple of years. That's like, I'm a little wary of being like, I'm well happy for Mazraoui. If this was 2 years ago, I'd have been ecstatic because he was one of my favourite right backs about. So
yeah,
temper your expectations of him. But yeah, happy in general, man. Happy in general.
Yeah. That's another good signing, isn't it, for West Ham? It goes through Wan-Bissaka. It strengthens their squad even more.
Yeah, that's a West Ham player all day. That is, he'll be loved at West Ham with his style of football. Like his hard tackling, he'll be loved.
Deal still there? I heard there's a few glitches. I think did he want more money? What was the problem?
Inter Milan are interested in it. I think that's what was the thing that like Man United thought they might be able to sneak an extra 3 or 4 mil out of Inter Milan, but I don't know if that's stable no more than me, obviously.
Yeah. I think that was the case. I think from what I'm hearing, it seems to be West Ham and sort of further ahead now, and it'll probably end up going there. And I don't think Mazraoui will be this far down the line, and we wouldn't be hearing what we hear, and we wouldn't be hearing about the talks that are going on if it wasn't, pretty close to Wan-Bissaka also leaving as well. I'm be pretty sure of that. And most of the talk of late, although Milan is still there, is all sort of towards that he's going to go to West Ham, and again, that's another solid signing if he does.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Chile Martin's Garth. I suppose you'll call this Man United 1, Arsenal 0.
What are you talking about? It's Man United. It's like Man United 7 Arsenal.
There you go. What I keep saying online. I keep saying
Van Persie took him. Sanchez took him, mate.
2024. Van Persie 2.
Listen, lads. If it's true that we're giving him 30 grand a week, I'm outraged at that.
That's
I'm outraged at it.
I can't believe that one. I can't believe it. I don't want to because I'll be outraged. But you two will know about his talent better than I will. I've heard, obviously, he scored the 10 against Liverpool in the under 18s. He got 5 against whoever else it was. You know what I mean? I've heard that he is a very promising player. But 16, I'm sorry, unless you're Wayne Rooney, unless you're generational, you don't know how good these kids are going to be 4 years down the line. You just don't. You can hope, but this kid isn't generational. So it is a hope, and if them wages are 30 grand, I'm going to be fuming. Fuming the wrong word. I'm going to be upset with that. I look, Steve will know more than me, but I can't believe they would be doubling the offer that Arsenal put in. I saw that straight away, and I was like, "Come on, it's surely not double. Maybe 20, but even then, I think 15 is more than enough for a 17-year-old signing his first professional contract." Steve, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, from what I've been hearing, Arsenal offered him a certain amount of money, and they thought it was fair what they offered him, and in the end, he didn't think so. So obviously, both parties probably agreed that he was to move on. It's a weird one because I don't believe also that Man United are paying him these extortionate fees. Sometimes people put things out there just for, just to big up the player. I mean, apparently, by all accounts, the German clubs, Dortmund and Bayern Munich, I think it was the other club that was interested in, offered them more than what Manchester United did. So if they're paying him 30 grand, what did Bayern Munich? I mean, he ain't. Do you know what I mean? He's unproven. He's simply that. I mean, he might turn out to be the next Erling Haaland. Who knows? We have no idea. But at 17, there's no way of telling. Do you know what I mean? He's not played at men's level yet. He's not done anything. So, yeah, I mean, look, we like our young players on this show, and if he goes on to Manchester United and he proves himself, then good luck to him. That'd be good for. I think I don't know what Kears thinks, but I think that if you're an Arsenal fan, people watching, and I think you're going to see a lot of this. You're going to see a lot of this because I think there's not going to be a lot of time or place for in the especially in the main team for youngsters. unless you're very, very, very good. I think,
but it means that the talent that does get an opportunity is special talent, like Ethan Nwaneri, a player who people are undoubtedly saying is going to be breaking into the first team this season. So for me, that says a little bit about how much he may have been off, and it may have just been a bit of impatience. But
yeah. I think no, exactly right, mate. And this is what Arsenal. I've seen Arsenal fans get really upset, but I think this is going to happen now. I mean, Arsenal have got themselves to a level now where they should be, if there is going to be a next big thing, they are in line to be it. And it's going to be very difficult for kids like Shobi Martin to sort of develop their career by playing in League Cups and all this. Arteta's going to find it hard enough to give the players in the first team space playing time. So yeah, look, he's moved on, and good luck to him. Hope he does, and I hope he does well. I hope he does well. Greedy sod.
To be fair, mate, if that's what you're saying, I mean, I would hate to hear that as a Man United fan, that there's no room for youngsters in my team. That do my name. But from what I understand, that's what Man United have offered him. It ain't the wages; it's the fact that he's going to be our third choice striker this season. And
that's crazy.
That's it's crazy, mate. Like, but I mean, 17. Mate. Like you say, that this is the thing, isn't it? Like, if he's good enough to play as a third choice, as a backup to the backup, like while he's still doing his under 23 work, then that's fair enough. I don't know anything about the kid at all. I didn't realise there seems to be a lot of people who know him, like Arsenal fans, seem to be quite upset that you've lost him. That he is actually going to be quite a good player.
I wouldn't worry
they made
about.
No more than us, guys.
I wouldn't worry about Arsenal fans on Twitter. They get upset. They get upset about a lot of things. Miguel Aziz. Let's throw that out. This was the first one that in January, I think it was, when we found out that he was not going to be he's going to be released. That there was uproar about Miguel Aziz. It was meant to be the prospect. It was meant to be the thing. I had so much hope from him. Mate, he went out on loan to Portsmouth, League 2, didn't do anything. Went out on loan in Spain via B for FC, didn't do anything. Probably went more up partying more than he did get assists.
Yeah, you
wouldn't want me paying for our B for FC. I'd be rocking up at 6 o'clock in the morning for training. From the out of the club, straight to training. Still with my silk shirt on.
Silk?
Of course, mate.
Gotta stay cool in our beef, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Natural fibres. So yeah, and then he goes on loan to a League 2 team in Spain and doesn't do anything there. So we release him. So there's a lot that can happen between the 15 and 16-year-olds to the 18-year-olds that are meant to be the first team players and potentially getting through to the first team. Like, there's a lot that can happen there. Most of the time, it's generally mentality, because the ability is there with a lot of them, because we've seen it from when they were 16. But it's just something usually happens between the age, this maturity, that it takes a lot. It separates the men and the boys. That's it. It's as simple as I can say it. And we've seen that a lot. And if you're a team that are going to push for the league, and it's different from Man City, it's different because they've won the league. They can relax a bit in terms of that they're not trying to chase that. And Arsenal are in a position where, yes, they should be giving up their youngsters a lot more time, cup games, at the end of games when they're over. But there's always also an argument with some of those players that are on the fringe of Arsenal, whether they should be getting game time first. People will say that Aziz, Lewis Skelly, and a few others, Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly and a few others should have got game time last season. However, you've got on that same bench, you've got Reece Nelson, Nketiah, and others where you're like, oh, actually, if there's an injury to one of them players, these players actually have to come in and play. So, in fact, they should be getting game time because they need more minutes, just in case they've got to come in for the first.
And we're saying that, and the thing is as well, we're saying they're not good enough to play when they come into an FA Cup game or a League Cup game, and Nketiah plays or Reece Nelson plays or one of these type of players plays, we're like, oh God, I wish we had so and so out there or so and so out there. So even these players who have played in the Premier League for God knows how many years and are experienced players, some internationals, if you're an Arsenal player now, even they are not good enough. So how are these young kids underneath them got any chance of getting in front of them?
Yeah,
they've got no chance. They've got no chance. So they're not.
It's a tough one. It's that balance. Whether you play the Chida Obies over the Eddie Nketiah. That's the question. Do you play Chiba or do you play Eddie Nketiah?
But the thing is as well, if you're talking about like Arsenal winning like the FA Cup, winning the League Cup, and things like this, you're not going to win them with Chobi Obi Martin in the side or Coulton Nuffy in the side. It's not going to happen. Or even as good as Nwaneri is in the side. They ain't going to get game time. They're not.
I couldn't disagree more there, Steve. I couldn't disagree more. You can have one or two inside a team there. Like as a Man United fan, like for a team that's had one youth academy product in the starting match day for the last 35 years, you can find a space for one or two youngsters. You have 9 subs now. You can find a space. Like if it's true what I saw the other day, I see Russ has mentioned it about Arteta's never brought through a single youngster, and that literally you had 9 minutes given to teenagers last season.
Yeah, that's
not good.
That's not good last season
because you have got to bring through your own talent, especially in these days now with the sustainability. You've got to bring through your own talent. And if you're saying Nketiah and Reece Nelson aren't good enough, then these players should be playing in front of them. I know you're saying here, or see if they get injured, but listen, it's a different philosophy for me. Youngsters are everything. You've got to play youngsters. You have to give them minutes here or there. You can't just be like, nah, they can never have minutes because we've got Nketiah on the bench. If we play them in the FA Cup, we're not going to win it. You've got to give them minutes. You have to.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for Arteta in giving more minutes last season. Like when we had the games where it's 6-0 up, or when we've had European games where we could have got through. That's where I think we could have given. There was a game where we gave Nwaneri an opportunity, and it came out that Ramsdale was apparently said that loads of the players on the bench were saying, "Get him on, get him on, get him on." I think those are the games where we have an opportunity to give Skelly minutes and Nwaneri minutes. There have been. How
many people can you have on a bench?
9.
Quite a few now, and you can make
9.
You can make 5 subs.
Look, I'm all for obviously part of a squad.
Well, it's 7.
So
it might be 7. Sorry, not 9, but whatever.
They're parting on the. If we're winning 4-0, 5-0, I'm like, oh yeah, if the game's over, then bring them on. Give them minutes. With 20 minutes to go, yeah, and you've got a couple of youth players on the bench. You bring them on, but. And the same I would go for people who we talk about the FA Cup and the League Cup, and if we're winning, then bring them on. But how many who does City play? Do you know? How many youngsters?
Yeah,
one.
Steve Lewis, the left back, Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob.
Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob.
Foden came through their youth system and
who have they got now? I'm not saying I'm just like
two straight away. Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis.
Just two.
Yeah, but
that's still 2 more than Arsenal have done.
But the thing is, it's about the minutes. It's about the minutes.
Yeah.
Like Arsenal, if Arsenal players that have come through Arsenal's rank, it's Saka, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah. Who else have come through Arsenal's rank? Like they've played. It's just we're not giving minutes to any of the new ones that are coming through.
What, you talking the Premier League though? You talking Premier League?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Premier League Cup games, minutes for Arsenal first team.
What? Even if it's a full 90 minutes.
What?
You're saying you would play like the youngsters.
I mean, 15 minutes towards the end of a game. We haven't been given them minutes, and those have been. There's definitely been opportunities because there was a few games last season where we were cruising, and we didn't bring a youngster on, and it was
maybe you didn't think that was good enough. Maybe they wasn't.
Maybe they weren't good enough last year. Maybe they weren't good enough.
They're not good enough. They can't play, can they?
but maybe they weren't good enough last year. But then you've got to look at the players like
I think we
Amari Hutchinson, who went to Chelsea a season later. He's been sold to Ipswich for 23 million. Like
This is my point.
those,
Exactly what I was about to say.
those are the situations where Amari Hutchinson on the season before he left was on the bench pretty much every week, didn't get any minutes. So I think there is room, because the difference between Amari Hutchinson goes Chelsea, immediately gets loaned out to Ipswich, smashes it in the Championship, let's not get it wrong, and then gets bought for 23 million. That season's difference. There ain't that much difference between Amari Hutchinson at Arsenal and the Amari Hutchinson that's just been bought by Ipswich. And and I think we, as a team, if we do want to start bringing in those youngsters and keeping those youngsters, because if you've noticed, Arteta's been or Edu or Mertesacker, they've actually been buying youngsters recently. They bought the Welsh kid, the 15-year-old. I think they've got a kid from America recently. So they're definitely going out to purchase young players. We need to be careful that those players don't get brought into Arsenal's youth team, play a few seasons, and then look and it's like, oh, actually, I don't think I'm going to get my way into this Arsenal first team. I'll go and buy it. And you've got Chelsea, the vultures sniffing around. You've got teams like Brighton, they're vultures that will sniff around. Villa, they're the same. They snap these players up and they give them opportunities. So that's what I think.
I think you got to be very special to get close to Arsenal's team at the moment. If you're a youngster, very special.
Yeah.
But then you'll never have a youngster. Like, I couldn't disagree more. You've got to give players minutes to see how they are in men's football. You've got to. So yeah,
I'm sure
they're special once they play. Like you can't.
I'm sure Arteta knows though, didn't he? If Arteta's not playing him, I'm sure he knows.
What you're saying here, Steve, is in your under 23s and under 18s team, you haven't got a single player that is worth playing for Arsenal. Because that's what you said. Because you had 9 minutes given to youngsters last season, 9, and you're saying that none of them are good enough. Like, not a single player. Like, there has to be a couple of players in there that are decent enough to play for Arsenal. There has to be.
Then Guehi and Lewis Skelly,
Yeah.
So why are they getting their minutes?
Hopefully this season, they if they're good enough, they'll get minutes. But they've got to be good enough. They can't bring them on if they're not good enough. I'm just playing. I'm sure he knows. He trains with them. That's why they brought into the first team squad, and that's why they train with them week in, week out with the first team. So if Arteta doesn't know if they're good enough, then what?
I mean, I he must know. I don't see any harm in giving players 5 minutes.
What happens to players like Vieira and Trossard and players like who might not get game time? What happens to the defender? What happens to the Tomiyasu's and whoever what happens to all these players?
I don't think it matters to him. I don't think a Tomiyasu is going to be upset that a youth player is getting 5-7 minutes at the end of a game, and he's not. I mean, I've seen a number of football players that don't want to come on for 7 or 5 minutes at the end of the game. They see it as disrespectful if they're an established first team player. I don't agree with that. I'm not talking about giving these kids 90 minutes, a half.
I agree with that.
7 to 10 minutes.
I agree. I don't see how
that's going to knock Fabio Vieira's nose out of joint. I mean, listen, the lifeblood of all clubs is bringing through youth players. Arsenal aren't a money machine that can just keep going out and buying stars. You've got to make your own at points.
I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great if we can, find them time to play. But it's like I said, Arsenal are a place now where you have to be special to play. In that, to play for Arsenal now, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you had more of a chance. Do you know what I mean? To get into the first team because we struggled.
I agree with
Now it's. Do you know what I mean? We couldn't buy players. We could afford to, look at the youth and give them more game time. Yes, all right, he only played 9 minutes last season, but you ask yourself, why did he only play 9 minutes last season? Maybe because they wasn't ready yet, and 2, it's because they was on a title challenge and they wanted to win something, and they just wasn't good enough to come into that side to make a difference. Hopefully, this season they are.
Yeah, and I think Man United
that title charge thing's nonsense. Sorry,
no, I think Man United
brought title charge for 20 years. We always play
hold on. Let me land. I didn't say anything about title charge. I said there's an opportunity to give these players minutes in cup games and plenty of that, and 15 minutes towards the end of the game. So it's not you lads, and it's not title charge on my part. I never said that. And with regards to to opportunities for players. I do think there's going to be opportunities for players in the Arsenal team. I do agree that they do need to be that much better from what we had, especially because I don't think the level of what we had was actually that great. We did get to see the likes of Gallagher, who was ripping up the under-21s, who came into the first team and wasn't as good as what we first thought, and he needed some time. He's gone out to France, and I think we've done the better deal at the moment.
Cool, yeah, 40 million
for that cost. And I do think Man United have had a situation now where they've been able to bring through a lot more the likes of Merino, the likes of Garnacho, especially Merino, because of the situation they're in now. I think it'd be slightly different. Man. Yeah, I think that'd be slightly different.
I'm talking about in the history, man. Like I was saying, Man United, when we were on our pomp, they were always giving minutes to young players.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Arsenal had the same thing.
A lot of them didn't make it because they weren't good enough, but they were given the opportunity to show how good they were. That's what I was saying.
But they were given the opportunities. They were given the opportunities in cup games. They were given opportunities at 15 minutes in games. They weren't given starters in.
No one's saying so. No one's saying.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying pretty much what you're saying, but then you're shaking your head and saying something completely different.
Because I'll tell you why I'm shaking my head. It's because I'm hearing excuses as to why you only gave 9 minutes to youth players last year.
There was no excuse to why. There was no excuse.
There is. They've got to be special. We're going for the title.
I said Arsenal should have given their players more minutes last season. I said that multiple times. They should have given their players more minutes. The 9 minutes they gave their players, and it was 1 year solitary 9 minutes, was not good enough last season. Far from it. They could have given their players minutes in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, in those games where we were 6-0 up against West Ham, against these other teams. They should have given these players more time. They took off. They took off
again,
Saka with the 50th minute in one of those games. I think it is.
Yeah, I think you definitely where you are as a club, does sort of guide whether you can sort of afford to bring in more youngsters in and not. That's the fact. If you're definitely in a club where you're in a transition and you're it all goes in cycles, doesn't it? Arsenal went through a cycle where we was bringing through young players and we could play them more regularly. As time goes on and Arsenal got that little bit better, it comes that little bit harder and that little bit harder. Last year it was very hard. This year it's even going to be harder. Hence why I said you've got to be special. But I do think Lewis Skelly and Man United. I don't agree with that. Man United are in a better position now to bring in youngsters and guide them than what Arsenal are. They are, and that's why Obi Martin left. It's not
agree. You've got to agree to disagree. If it's a different philosophy, you don't agree.
But that's why he went to you. The reason why he went to you is because you could get, unless he went to you for more money. He went to you because he could have a better chance of his career.
It's probably that as well. Let's be fair about it, because we're a joke of a club. Listen, you can play your youngsters against us because we're trash. Get him a good run out. You know what I mean? Let him run rings around Casemiro with his old legs.
I really, there's nothing more I would love for next season for especially Nwaneri to come in and make his mark. Do you know what I mean? But Arteta will know. He'll know if they're ready. He'll know.
Yeah, he will know. He will know. A couple of comments there saying Arsenal went out to Man City, but they didn't go out to Man City in the previous rounds. They went to I think they got knocked out in the fifth round. So there's other games. Liverpool, they got knocked out in the semis. They get to semis against Liverpool. So there's other games. So yeah, it wasn't just those.
Yeah, I mean, and if you are. There's the comment there. So if you don't play the kids, how are they going to expect to play in the cups? But if you're going to play the kids, you've got more likely than not to get knocked out the cups. So you can't have it both ways.
I mean, for me, the Carabao Cup was always a breeding ground for the youngsters. That was the best thing I saw. That was the best thing I saw Arsene Wenger do when it came to the cup. He always gave it to the youngsters.
Yeah,
there were players that you never saw in there, which is why I also like the
Yeah.
Johnston's Plate Trophy Cup or whatever it is now, where the under 23s EFL Trophy,
EFL Trophy,
yeah, where they play against the under 23s and they play against men, so you get to see the men's team against the youth level. So I think that's a really good idea as well. We will carry on because we've got quite a bit more to go through. Tottenham are plotting their opening bid for Dominic Solanke and also have interest in Pedro Neto and Eze of Crystal Palace. Dominic Solanke has been a player that a fair few clubs have been looking at over the last couple of seasons. Garth, is that a surprise, or do you think that over the years, because I think he came from Chelsea, was signed by Liverpool, didn't really work out at either of those two clubs, and then he's moved on and he's slowly building up his name and his skill set? Do you think it's about time he makes that big move?
I mean, for him, probably. For me, it's a gamble signing Dominic Solanke. He's had one good season. That was last year, getting 19 goals in the Premier League. Before then, in the Premier League, 33 games, 6 goals, 32 games, 3 goals, 21 games, 1 goal. I don't think a club looking to get into the Champions League should be spending big money on Dominic Solanke. I mean, Steve, you'll be able to attest more of this. Do you know the sort of price they're looking at for him?
Yeah, he's got a release clause, Garth.
How much?
Yeah, I think it's around 65 million.
65. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Bournemouth, from what I know, I'm not going to let him go for any less than that.
No, why would they? No.
He's their star striker. Tottenham like him, and look, I mean, and there has been talks, and from what I'm hearing, he is a concrete interest. So it's solid, and it could happen. I do agree with Garth. I think it's a lot of money for someone who's had for one season, who's okay. Do you know what I mean? He's not someone who I feel I wouldn't want him at Mike. He's not the type of striker I would want. I don't know how Garth would feel if he was at Man United. I'm sure he would be the same. But he's just had the one season. But will Bournemouth let him go? Look, Bournemouth have got to find a replacement. There's about 3.5 weeks in the window today. I spoke to someone at Bournemouth Football Club today, and they didn't say much, but they didn't really want to add to this speculation of their player, and they just said that they're looking forward to having him next season. So take for that in what you will. Sometimes they, it's always a bit cryptic, and sometimes they tell you things that they want you to hear. But look, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I would have thought Tony would have been a much better
and cheaper, surely as well.
Go for him, but they're a lot cheaper, mate. What a lot, 35, 40 million. I think now you would snap him up for final year of his contract.
Not for me.
No.
Not for you. And a big one at the moment. Conor Gallagher looks like he's here we go. He's tied up his deal with Atletico Madrid. Not much money either. Chelsea selling one of their homegrown players to make that profit. We'll start with you on this one, Steve. Conor Gallagher, what's your thoughts on the signing of him going to Atletico Madrid? Do you know much on this deal, that how it went about?
Well, for him personally, I think it's a great move for him. He's going to play for a proper club. Unlike Chelsea. Get away from Conor. I mean, I know he's a Chelsea boy and he's been there his whole career, and he apparently he wanted to stay, but this was always a little bit strange to me, because the first chance I would have got to get away from Chelsea, I would have absolutely jumped at it. It's an absolutely diabolical football club, the brunt of all jokes in my industry and on social media. But look, I think it's a great deal for him, and I suppose it is a great deal for Chelsea as well, isn't it? They're for 43 million euro, I think it was, that he's been sold for. But the way they went about it was wrong. He didn't want to leave. They've literally told him to get out. He didn't want to play. They said that if you don't leave, you're not first choice, which is absolute rubbish, because he was more or less first choice. He was Chelsea captain. They've forced him out. They've done a Barcelona what they tried to do with De Jong. But with De Jong, he was like just stayed his ground, but he had a little bit of leeway because he had the big wages and the big contract still.
Yeah.
Gallagher was a bit, was in the situation where he was, offered a contract, which by all accounts was an absolute laughable joke. And after the contract was offered, he turned it down because it was ridiculous. The money he was offered, he was ridiculous. By all accounts, I don't know if this is true, but I keep hearing it that he was on 17 grand a week at Chelsea, which I keep hearing. Maybe we can check up on that. If that's right, that's absolutely ridiculous for a Chelsea captain. I think it's a good deal for him. I think go and do your career. I think Atletico Madrid is a good club for him because it's like the type of player that he is. If you're going to go to Spain and you're a Conor Gallagher type player, Atletico Madrid is the place to go. He's a workman-like player, and that's all he is. He's not technically gifted, but I think he'll fit in well with Diego Simeone. I think they'll get on. And yeah, unfortunately, it's a good deal for Chelsea as well because he's homegrown and it's all pure profit. So they win again on that side. But
running out of them though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're running out of them though. They're going to be in trouble soon, Chelsea, ain't they? They're running out of them.
Homegrown talents where they can get that.
Must be heartbreaking to be a Chelsea fan at the moment, seeing what's happening to your club. Like, it must be heartbreaking to like everything. You know what I mean? Lost Mount last year, and I know that people have got different opinions on that, but Chelsea fans loved him. They're losing Gallagher. Like, yeah, you're signing in all sorts of random players that you like. It must be heartbreaking. I think it's disgusting what they've done. It's like you said, Steve, diabolical, mate. That's the word for it. It's diabolical.
And Julian Alvarez, a player surprisingly that looks like he will be leaving Manchester City this summer. Pretty much this one out of nowhere. A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned, Steve, that Alvarez is not happy.
Even
after they've sent him out and let him go to the Olympics, that hasn't helped ease the blow, and he wants out. Wants to be the main man, it seems.
Yeah, Manchester City fans. I mean, not like I like to get one over on you, but I told you this was going to happen. A few weeks ago in an article, got absolutely ripped to shreds by saying I didn't know what I was talking about. He's come out and said he was happy, la-di-da-di-da, and Pep was going to give him a big hug. But I found out that this was all nonsense, and this was all just for the press and and what he was told to say. But yeah, he wasn't happy, and now he's following Conor Gallagher or vice versa, whatever way round you would look at it, to Atletico Madrid. He's wanted to leave for a long while. This isn't just something that's happened overnight. I think Pep was I was told, just playing a game by saying, he's my player, I want him to be here and all that. It was all total nonsense. He was absolutely furious with him. He was furious with him that he went to the Olympics. I think with him going to the Olympics, told me that was it for Alvarez. I thought then, going to the Olympics, I thought that was it. But yeah, look, it's again similar to Chelsea. The oil barons, the pair of them, aren't they? Or what, Chelsea was the once oil baron, whatever you want to call them. They've come out smiling, haven't they? What was it, 75 million euro deal for him? But look, I mean, it's definitely weak in City, don't you think, this one?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big loss. City rely on having the quality second option. He got quite a few games last season. Got quite a fair few goals and assists. I thought he had a good season. So it is quite surprising. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes and why he wants out. Garth, what's your thoughts on the move?
Yeah, I mean, it's that, isn't it? I think he thinks he's good enough to play first team football non-stop. He's 24. It's time for him to move on. Man City didn't want him to go. That's why they got, I mean, whatever it is, other outrageous prices of like over 80 mil for him as well. So crazy money. Yeah, no, but you know how this works, Steve. You're in it. It ranges, don't it? And it will be somewhere in the middle. The actual price will be somewhere. Let's say probably whatever. Anything over 70 mil for him, like anything over 50 mil for him is crazy in my mind, considering what. But listen, like Man City, somehow done it, pulled it off a rabbit out of the hat. And I ain't worried about like they'll go and buy another striker. They'll find someone else. It's Man City, isn't it? Like they'll get someone else in. So yeah, no, good deal. I'm going to be very interested to see how he does, Julian Alvarez, because I've got a feeling that might be a coup for Atletico Madrid, and he really starts banging them in Spain.
Yeah,
I think 25 a season.
Yeah,
so,
I can see that happening. I can see that happening. And rumours that João Felix could go out on loan to Manchester City. Anything in that, Steve?
No, I can't see anything with that. I don't know where that rumour come from or who put it out there, but yeah, I've not heard nothing on that. I'd be shocked if Pep would sign someone like Felix.
I'll tell you put it out there, Steve. His biggest fan, Nathan the Duke Ellington. He's the one who's been putting that rumour out there. 100%.
Probably. It's going to weaken them drastically. I know you said like the first thing you think of, right? They've got 75 million to go and buy a striker now. But again, they're in a situation. I mean, Alvarez, when they bought him, he was like the player that every top club, not only in the Premier League, but every top club in Europe wanted as your sort of second striker number 2, wasn't it? Yeah. Because he was someone who could come in and score as soon as he, for fun. He's someone who could be on the bench for half a season and hit 20 goals. Across all competitions. Do you know what I mean? He was unbelievable.
Yeah. Do you know where it's that time, Steve? 9 o'clock, 2 minutes time. Every single week, without fail. Consistency is key with Steve. Without fail, he will drop off at 2 minutes past 9. Steve will drop off, and at 3 minutes past 9, he's back in the room. Here he is.
Sorry about that, people. But just the market's thin. Do you know what I mean? The market's thin out there. Strikers are thin. Me and Garth was having a little chat about it today. And it's, there's obviously they've got to convince someone to come in and, be that player who's going to be a bit part player, who's willing to do that. Will people look at Man City and think, well, will I get game time? I've got to get past him. And if you think about buying, Alvarez was just such a fantastic buy. They got him out of the blue. I think they bought him at the same time as Ireland, didn't they? He came exactly the same season. But it's hard to think who they would bring in to replace him. It really is.
It'll be one of them ones where it's like out of the blue. You're like, oh no way! Like not an Ivan Toney, but it'll be one of them. It'll be like a player that should be a main striker. They've managed to persuade him to be their second striker.
Yeah.
It'll be so.
Ivan Toney makes sense. I think if you could get someone like Ivan Toney for they'll be typical Man City. They'll pay 30 million for Toney. Tony would just go up to Thomas Frank. So see you later. I'm going to go and win a title, or next year. I'm going. I don't care what you say. I'm putting a transfer request. He'll be gone. They'd have an extra 50 million to spend on something else, and City would be smiling again. So
they are a little bit jammy. Come up smelling of roses all the time. Man United interested in Wolves midfielder João Gomez. Garth, we go to you on this one before we go to Steve with a little bit of an update on it. A tenacious midfielder, good ball carrier. What's your thoughts on João Gomez?
Right, let me just scrub those first two things off of my list that I was going to talk about.
Good ball player.
You know what I mean? Right, what have I got left here?
That's
he's got a contract in 2029. He's 23. Listen,
plays a Porto. That's it.
I've come more round to him after I spoke to you early on, Stuart, about it, to be quite honest with you, mate. The more I look into him, do you know what? That'd probably be a good sign for me. It all comes down to the price, though. It really comes down to the price. The more I look into him, the more I'm seeing lots of clubs are interested in him as well. It can rocket that price up. A very strong tackler, commits a lot of fouls, which would be a problem. Great ball carrier, as you said. Hasn't got too much in the final third. This is the big problem with him. He doesn't get you goals. He doesn't get you assists. There's a big question around his end product. His passing isn't he's a destroyer. More of an 8 really than a 6, but like you said to me, you're looking for that player that can do both. Declan Rice. He isn't Declan Rice, obviously, but like a Declan Rice can equally be comfortable in the 6 as well as the 8 sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it really comes for me. This one really comes down to the price, man. If it's what you're saying, Steve, that 38 mil, bargain in my opinion. If it's what I'm reading in the papers that Wolves want, which is 70 mil, absolute nonsense. Don't want to go in here. Fun fact before I leave him though. Blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so don't fight him because he will wrap you up and put you to sleep.
I like that. I like that. It's a great fact. What I would say with Wolves, if they're smart, they look back at their recent history with the players like it was their striker.
Look what Neto
Who's their striker?
was. Neto, they was talking 80 millions last.
Yeah, Pedro Neto.
Now it's like 40.
Yeah, Pedro Neto, the lump on the wing that went to Barcelona. Traore, yeah. The geezer up front who had his head smashed in. These are poor descriptions right there.
Jimenez.
I've just gone blank. They were looking at 100 mils, 80 mils, 70 mils for all these players. Now you could probably get them all 3 players for about 80 mil because Pedro Neto with his injuries, Adama Traore is not the player that everyone thought he was. A lot of people thought he was, and who what's his name? Since he had that head injury, hasn't been the same sort of player. So they would have been smart in taking a lower fee before that they held out, and they're not going to get anything for these players. And I think you're getting the same with Ryan Nuri. Ryan Nuri is that sort of player that now you sort of see him. He's progressed to the Premier League. He's got a better player than he was at Wolves. Are you going to be greedy and try and hold on to him for the bigger money, or do you let him go when there's still that sort of can he be this, can he be that sort of player? I think Wolves need to start doing that. They've got a good scouting system in terms of finding these players and getting them on the cheap. Turn them over after a few seasons to try and get that profit. Trying to send them on that 5th season is too late then. They have to be the finished article, and none of them have been the finished article yet. The closest to that is a player who's had 2 really bad long-term knee injuries. And in Pedro Neto. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with Gomez now. Steve, could you tell us a little bit more on that deal?
Yeah, well, Man United are interesting. Obviously, they pulled out of the Ugarte deal. Someone who's he's very, very PSG basically just want too much for him. They wanted 60-odd million plus. United were never going to pay that. I know that there's reports of Gomez being, I think his release clause, what you're saying, Garth, is 70 million. But what his release clause says in Portugal is a totally different thing from what release clauses say in Spain. Spain tend to stick with them, where Portugal is such a sort of, league with not a lot of money in. And clubs haven't got a lot of money. If they're happy to get rid. Sorry, it's Wolves, isn't it? Who am I talking about?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about.
You're thinking Neves again, bro. You're thinking.
You're on a different deal. You're talking about the Porto player. We ain't got to that one yet.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Porto. To be fair, we were talking about this earlier. We were confusing players like left, right, and centre.
What am I going on about? It's the Heat.
Neves.
It's the Heat. What am I going on about?
It's the Heat. I don't even talk about the Heat. Put me into a coma.
No, this is a story that's probably going to be going out tomorrow about that I sort of just swerved into. Then you got a bit of an exclusive now. I better stop.
No. The only thing is no one knows the player you're talking about, though.
Exactly. I didn't know the name, did I? But I mean, he's a player that Man United were looking at last season, and funny enough, since my article, Ben Jacobs has also come out and said and confirmed the interest of Manchester United for the player. So Ben also has obviously got a lot of good connections. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. He was a player that Real Madrid were after as well. They wanted him as Casemiro's replacement. They just in the long term, sort of a long-term replacement. But in the end, for some whatever reason, he went to Wolves, and he's been having a very good season. And Garth sort of explained what type of player he is. He is perfectly. So yeah, one to keep an eye on.
Can I ask you, Steve? When I've done a little deep dive and say what I've been reading though is that Chelsea are looking at him, Liverpool want him. And that's my point about his price, which is, it's all good about saying get him cheap when it's just one club looking at him. But it is true that Chelsea, Man United, and Liverpool are all looking at him. That price is going to skyrocket, surely. But are other clubs looking at him, or are Man United sole suitors at the moment?
Yeah, I think Liverpool have got to look in at other areas. To be honest with you, I know Chelsea, have sort of been asking around. I know that Chelsea have inquired about him, but looking at, Chelsea got a lot of players in that position. They've got Casado, they've got Enzo, they've got Lavia. Who's got to come back.
You're right.
You know, they're bottled up. If you're Eric Ten Hag or you're Ashworth and you're chatting to Gomez, you're talking to him about coming in and maybe even starting is the number.
Yeah.
So I thought Man United would be favourites to get him if indeed they, could make the deal happen. But yeah, look, Premier League proven, which is something that not everybody likes. But for me, I think to bring in Man United, they've brought in a few players, from outside the Premier League. I think it's good to bring a couple in. Who are used to the Premier League, they know the league, they know the teams they're going to be up against next season. And the number 6 is a specialist position that this guy knows like the back of his hand. And if they can get him for that money, I think it's a good buy.
A bargain. Yeah, that's a bargain for me. If you get him for under 40 mil, that is a bargain, Steve. 100%. Yeah. In today's market, in today's climate of transfer fees, yeah.
One thing I want to ask, and I've just been thinking about it in my head all day without asking anybody a question. I thought I'd ask you, guys. Is Manu capable of playing the 6 as well? Could they alternate rather?
Man, no, not really. Not yet. He hasn't got the discipline to play the 6. Like, maybe in the future, because he's a talent, obviously. But at the moment, I pointed out to Keir, and someone else has said it. But I just want to note, I'm not copying Shearer or whoever else said it. I said it ages ago. He wanders, Mano. He doesn't quite have the positional discipline to play as a 6 yet. Because he's young. Yeah, I'm not saying he can't. He just come. Yeah. I wouldn't want him there. When we put him there, he's looked a little bit lost, man. When we have had to play so no, not for me.
Yeah.
Arne Slot has confirmed that Liverpool are struggling to secure their first major signing. Sticking with Liverpool, it seems that the Reds are also eager to strengthen in goal. According to Cope, on Arne Slot's side, are keen on signing the Georgia's Euro 2024 sensation. Here we go. Georgi Mamadashvili as part of a long-term succession to planning for Alisson's eventual departure. Liverpool yet to make a signing, but do appear to be ramping up things. Reports in the Athletic suggest that after to sign a number 6 outside of the Premier League, now claims they have made a huge offer or could make a huge offer for Inter Milan star Alessandro Bastoni. More on Liverpool. Also interested in the signing. Could be looking at signing Porto's. Here we go, Steve. Alan Varela. This is the player that Steve, I think, was talking about previously. No one knows. It clearly is, because he mentioned Porto, and that is just blinkered stuck with Porto. Didn't matter who was talking about, he was sticking with this player. I love that. Go on, Steve. What are you going to tell us about this deal?
Yeah, look, this is the guy they want to bring in as the number 6 Argentinian under 23 international, Alan Vieira. Linked with him, when was it? Last year they was linked with him, but Michael Edwards and Arne Slot, they from what I've been told today, they absolutely love this player. He's obviously he's a number 6. He is a good player. He is a really good player. And yeah, they see him as that player to play next to his fellow countryman. Alexis McAllister, who they want to play further forward in the 8 position, because that's probably his best position.
Best position. I said that from last season.
Yeah, and then because then you had Soboslai was playing in his weird position. He's better in the number 10. Soboslai, if anything. So yeah, this guy, as I said, I've not watched him. I don't know too much about him, a player, but from what I've been hearing and from people I've been talking to today, this guy looks pretty. He's pretty special. So yeah, he's one of the players that they're certainly keeping an eye on, and also they're keeping an eye on Benfica's David Neres as well.
Okay,
not that player either.
Yeah, so seems to have gone off the ball a bit over the last couple of seasons. I know he's a massive star when he was coming through Ajax, and then seems to have just disappeared a bit. So yeah, be interested to see what happens with him.
Yeah, I just like I said with the release clauses. In Portugal, like they have these high release clauses, but they very rarely go with that release clause. Most of the time, they get him. I think look at the recent one, Joe Neves. It was 120 million pound release clause. I think he went for about 70, didn't he? In the end.
Yeah.
So
Liverpool ain't paying 60 mil for this geezer. They ain't paying 60 mil for him. So
no,
anyway.
They've targeted him because they feel like they can get a good deal for a player who's worth more than they're going to be offering. So be interesting to see. Do you know much about this player? Seen much of him, Steve? Garth?
I did a little deep dive on him today. He looks decent, like Steve's saying. Combative DM, decent passing statistics, really quite interestingly good passing statistics. Great first touch, good ball control. Looks reasonably press resistant. I'll tell you what, if Liverpool can get a good value price on him, they might pull a little winner out of the bag here with this fella. But I haven't seen loads. I can't lie. But from what I've seen, Liverpool could pull out a little winner here.
All right. We're coming up to the end, so get your questions in before we do go. One of the other bits of interest in transfer, Newcastle have ramped up their pursuit of Crystal Palace. England international Mark Guehi had a sensational Euros. Absolutely criminal that he didn't end up in the team of the tournament, and Carl Walker did. I won't ever forget that one.
Excuse me? I didn't know that. Oh, anyway, sorry, we'll move on. I didn't realize he's got team of the tournament, Carl Walker. We'll talk about that off there. We'll talk about that disgrace later.
I know. Steve, know much about the Mark Guehi deal and how much Newcastle are willing to pay for him?
Yeah, I think he's got a release clause as well, isn't he? And you know what it's like in this country. You got a release clause, you pay the release clause.
Yeah.
It's literally as simple as that. Now, this is what surprised me when in Alston, because they're in advanced. They're advanced talks with Guy. Now, whether they're advanced, in what way is another thing. When people say advanced, there's different ways of advance and what they're advanced in. Whether they're advanced in personal terms or whether they're advanced in talking to the club and the deals we get over the table is something I don't know. But for me, the most sort of thing that stands out about this deal is one that's come out of the blue and quite shocked me. That Mark Guehi, Newcastle firstly have got the money to pay for Mark Guehi, and that he's actually Newcastle the only team that's really, especially in the last say week or two, the only team that's really been looking at him, or pushing for him. And I thought there would have been a few that would have been, but maybe the release call just put them off. But I tell you what's interesting, and that from what I'm hearing, they haven't got the money, which makes me think one Newcastle player's going, because I have no idea how they're getting the money for this. Because
Saudi club buying someone, ain't they? From
I was going to say.
Yeah. They're going to sell Joe Willock for 400 mil, ain't they? That's what's going to happen there.
Whether Ashley Gordon will move at the last minute to somewhere. Because
who knows?
Yeah.
Could it be Liverpool? I just been thinking all day long while just thinking. I'm thinking, where are you getting this money from? You haven't got the money. You've got to sell to buy. This is something that's known.
Yeah.
Or they're just going to take take the fine. They're just going to take the fine. Because the first couple of offences are only fine. They're not straight points deductions. And so, they can afford to pay it, can't they? You know what I mean? So, they're just
because don't you know about the Gamirez and Isaac thing, and all that's been going on. So this is why this has come out of the blue, and they're going to pay 65 million. And it's like, where are you getting it from?
They've got to sell to sort of bring in players.
Yeah, unless one of the big boys is going, unless something's going to happen at the last minute, and Isaac or Gamirez is going to leave. Could Gamirez go to Arsenal or Man City? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. And finally, a deal that I was going to get onto, but I can see Owen's head is about to explode in the comment section. He feels like I'm ignoring it. I'm not ignoring you, Owen. I'm really not. I'm going to get into the questions now. I was going to get onto this one anyway. Steve, update on older Mikel Merino.
Newcastle, ex-Newcastle,
former Newcastle midfielder, Premier League, Cats. What's the latest on this on this transfer?
All I've been, people been messaging me all for the last 2-3 days now, worried to death about this, about this deal, saying that they've been seeing it in multiple outlets, Football London, Evening Standard, that this deal's not as far as down as the line as it is. Arsenal haven't put in a bid, blah 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 blah. Quite well-known journalists from Football London and Evening Standard as well. I don't know where this has come from, because my information is this is on the verge of being done. Mm-hmm. Personal terms have been agreed for a deal of around €30 million. The clubs have agreed. They're just finalising, last pieces of paperwork. Mourinho doesn't want to sign for anybody else. He's not putting pen to paper to a new contract. This might all come back to bite me in the arse. I don't know, but from what I'm hearing, look, I'm going the total opposite of what a couple of publications have come out with, because as far as I'm known, this is going to be done in the next couple of days. So yeah, look, you'll all come for me, but I don't think you will be, because
come for me when I'm right as well as when I'm wrong.
Keep that energy for when I'm right.
Energy, my boy. Keep that energy.
Yeah, I just say, like, I don't know where this has come from. I don't know where the panic has come from.
Is it not the Barcelona rumours? Because that's what I keep hearing. The Barcelona
rumours. The deal's so cheap. It seems
you're
like
asking where it's coming from. Yeah, I think it's the Barcelona rumours is where.
And especially when those the sources are probably coming from Spanish outlets. You know how they try to spin it. They won't put the source that's the same source that they used earlier from a Spanish outlet. They're waiting until you scroll down 4 pages, press continue to read article, go through 4 ads before you see that it's the same quote from the same journalist in Spain. Purposely putting out that information to put a bit of unrest in amongst the Arsenal.
So look, some people, I'm not saying they have. Look, these people make very good reasons for putting out what they're putting out. People are only as strong as their source they speak to. So don't take it against the person who's saying that, it's not as far as done. But look, I personally believe that this is way down the line, far down the line, and it's just a matter of literally final details. I expect this to be done by Monday. I expect this to be done by Monday.
It's here first. Clip it.
Confident.
Clip it.
I tell you what, I just said it now. I guarantee you click on Google in the morning, they'll be saying to me
delays.
Saying that I've said.
Steve, this is Arsenal.
Never
to put out those quotes, especially on a Monday. Arsenal fans will be coming for you on a Monday. It's always on a Monday. They'll be waiting for the announcement on a Thursday. It won't happen because it was on a Thursday. No, it's always that. No, Friday. Don't happen on a Friday. Don't happen on the next thing. Calafiori's flying in to do his announcement on a Friday. It always happens.
I'll throw it out to you boys now though about him. Like, are you that excited about Mikel Merino? Because that's a squad player coming in.
Yeah, I feel like it's a player that we need. Especially with the likes of we've lost Del Nene. We need that quality up in that sort of squad player. And with Thomas Partey, you never know whether he's going to be at the party or he's not. It's a player that I think we need to bring in.
There aren't many weaknesses to his game, you know what I mean? He's all around decent midfielder, but his pass, I'm surprised Arsenal are interested in with the pass completion that he's got, well under 80%, which is interesting to me because your boys are in the 90s, and his in Spain where it's slower, his pass completion is at 77.5%, and he was trash at Newcastle as well. Like absolutely, he looked. I was watching the highlights earlier. He looked like the league was far too fast for him when he was playing for Newcastle, Mikel Merino. So I'm surprised you boys are going for him, but obviously squad player. So you need that to fight on all fronts. Now you need that depth, don't you? And the best you can hope for him, and this is what I think you might get out of him is like an Ander Herrera, hard-working, solid centre midfielder that's going to do a job for you when needed. So
I think what he is, Garth, whether Arteta's bringing him in for this reason, he's more of a skillful. He's a Granit Xhaka. That's what people keep on, comparing him to.
Really? No,
that's what people have said. That's what people have said. From what I've been hearing, him and Rice will alternate in the 6s and the 8s. And I think he will probably be, when he does play, if he does become a first team or if he is part of a squad, he's being brought in as a dual winner and to play in that number 6 role. Because I think, like you read out his passing stats there in the league, and as you said, it wasn't great, but I think he's the top in Europe for winning tackles at any club anywhere in Europe for winning tackles, duels. So I think
but like, he ain't a 6, man.
I think that's why
he ain't a 6. He ain't a 6. Like, sorry, no. He is not a 6. He's a defensively minded 8. Yeah, but he cannot play single. Like, he cannot play. Like, he's not a 6, man.
Arsenal don't do that. Yeah.
But didn't he play in that Arsenal 6 in the Euros when he came on?
I mean, he weren't like.
No, he didn't. No.
Yeah, no.
No.
He's not. Everything I've watched of him, he is not. Like I say, he's an Ander Herrera. He's a run around. Water carrier. I hate the word water carrier now because it makes it sound like he's a decent player. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, like, he's played, like, when you look at his stats where he's played, it's very rare you see him play DM. So...
Is he better than El Nene?
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah. He did well for Sociedad last season. He looked very good in the Euros.
Yeah. I'm just surprised, like,
for 25 for 28 million euro. I think.
Go on.
No. I just think I think it's a clever signing. I think it's clever. I could see why Arteta's. We're not paying. I remember saying to you a few weeks ago on the Arsenal show that Arsenal were looking for. Do you remember I said that they was going to be looking for players around like the Jorginho age, the Trossard age,
because they've worked,
because they've worked and they're experienced and they know what it's all about to go and not so much win things. Well, Jorginho's case, win things, but. They've been there, done it, played international level, big things. So I think he's been brought in for that. So, look,
hopefully it makes sense when you've got players like Lewis Skelly, who I think they've got high hopes for, and Nwaneri. If you're bringing in those players that are a little bit older, if you're bringing in a 21-year-old, it's the writing's on the wall for them. That sends a bad message to them. If you're bringing in someone older to help with them, and it's not really good. Going to stifle their development.
25 mil is a good value, man. It's good value. I'm not trying to dig him out at all. He's a solid player. If you remember, kid, I said I would take him last year when we were struggling for centre midfielders.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a lot of
when we were struggling. Remember that? We were struggling.
I just wanted to temper expectations for a few people because I've seen a few people going a bit overboard. He's a good player.
No, I think with Arsenal fans, especially if you're on Twitter or especially if you're on the socials, man. They're excited to see anyone in. We could be signing Tim Lovejoy on a free transfer, and I think there'd be players.
He was on chat one year, mate.
Tim Lovejoy, he's not like he's a funny guy. Good around the dressing room, like you know what I mean.
Character. Up. You know what I mean. End of the season when we're all tired.
You're so right with Arsenal fans.
We're just excited. We're like
you're so right.
We want attention and love.
It could turn out to be a real canny buy, one of those ones that you look back on in 5-10 years after the dynasties in the midpoint. You're like, that's one of the best signings I've ever made. 25 mil.
Exactly. I think you look at 25 mil. It's a player that if it doesn't work out in terms of he doesn't get as much game time as you think, and in 2 seasons' time he's looking that he wants to leave, you still probably be able to get 15 mil for him.
It's a win. It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
I don't think. I think it is.
It's a win-win with him.
I know. Keep in mind, Newcastle. He was 7 years ago. He's come on leaps and bounds. It says looks really good in the Euros. So basically, Owen's saying, "Shut up, Garth. Shut up."
And hurting my soul realising it was 7 years ago. I was watching.
And he's played with Martin Odegaard.
He's played with Martin Odegaard. There you go. It's clearly a winner. It's clearly a winner. What more can you say? And Zubimendi. Enough said. That is all we have time for tonight. Thank you very much for everyone who's joined us. There's been quite a few watchers tonight. Press that like and subscribe button. See, I'm rubbing my hands. I'm seeing 1,128 people in the room. Thank you very much. But Thank you for everyone who's joined us in the comment section as well. Russ, Owen, Daniel, Charles, Russ, then Bemba.
Russ twice.
Russ has been a savage. He always is. He's always there. Evening. Always drops his evening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Drops his evening. No matter how old that joke is, I allow Russ to do it. Do you know what I mean? It comes from a good place, Russ. We know it does. Thank you, everyone who's joined us tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight, Garth.
Pleasure as always, mate. Thanks for having me, mate.
And thank you for joining us tonight, Steve.
Yeah, pleasure, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
All right, make sure you follow Steve on Twitter or X. I don't think I'll ever call it X.
Never call it.
Make sure you join Steve on X, formerly known as Twitter, for all the latest transfer news and dealings on the button. And make sure
I might be off next Monday though.
All right. He's full of exclusives tonight, isn't he? You know what I mean? Thank you for joining us, everyone. Steve may be off next Monday, but we will carry on this battle. We will carry on the fight. We will carry on giving you the transfer news. All right, peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.